excellent Wednesday evening. One of the best shows on the internet, Masculine Geek. This is at Masculine Geek number 43, and we're pleased and honored to have on again special guest Stephen Storey. Stephen, welcome.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. I'm glad to see y'all all again.
Yeah, you
too
too.
long.
Yeah, it's been maybe half a year, or 4 months, 5 months?
4 months. 4 months. Maybe
Okay.
5 months. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right, much too long. So welcome back.
I appreciate it.
Of course, what have you been up to in these long 4 months?
Man, when I talked to y'all last, I was in Brazil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm back stateside. I'm in Alabama right now.
Oh, shit.
In my home state. I'll be here for a little bit. Then I'm headed back to Brazil in January. So right now I am working on some things online and cutting some more of my ties to the States, like my car, getting my car sold, things like that. And then I'm going back.
Oh, okay.
So when you go back, are you like where you're cutting these ties, as you say, are you planning on like expatriating, or are you like, I'm done, fuck it, I'm out of here?
No, man, America's the greatest country in the world.
Okay.
Just curious. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. I think I was not this patriotic until I left. And once I left, I was like, I am American and this is my country. Your country sucks. And my country, we can talk about it, So America has a lot of advantages, and to me, it's just, for example, if you have a $300 car note, that's $1,200 down there. So if you can cut $1,200 out of your monthly budget down there, $1,200 is like going to the beach with several people and buying drinks every weekend.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
So for example, a beer is 50 cents. A cheap beer is 25 cents. So imagine what you could do with that kind of money. So that's what I mean.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
y'all drinking beer. I got soup right here. So
I got my ever-present rum and coke.
I got my bison.
I got turkey soup, guys.
Nothing wrong with that. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how the weather is down here, but it got really cold here in New Jersey really fast. In fact, I woke up this morning, it was 27.
Yeah, it's so cold.
It's
in my neck of the woods. Aaron might actually skedaddle back to Minnesota, I'm sorry, South Dakota.
How many blankets and heaters is Aaron going to use this time?
I've already gotten a heater and the 2 blankets and then the huge blanket. So he's basically Grandpa's going to be taken care of, right?
Grandpa.
I'll get him the electric blanket. I'll get him the clapper, type thing. So,
hey, Luke. Luke's has a clapper. He hasn't even get up and clap on and on.
He wouldn't even know what the fuck is that. He's
what's
boomer
funny is I'm trying to think those channels where you just know the target audience is a baby boomer, where they've got all you're watching I've got people in my family who watch the Hallmark Channel or something like that, and they have the requisite prostate cancer screening.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. You just like, okay, I get it. This is a channel for old people? When they did Matlock or those TV shows from back in the 60s, right? The stuff that boomers watch.
Is there a special boomer channel?
Like what? Because Aaron, he talks about being the honorary Gen Xer, but that's coming from an honorary boomer in a lot of ways. I would contend. Because he's got a lot of the same attitudes. Back in my day, we walked uphill three different ways till Sunday.
He just wishes he was a boomer.
Aaron is very crotchety. He wants he
like that. For a guy his age, he's crotchety. Yeah.
Fuck, he's more crotchety than me, and me and Vince are both older than him. Jesus.
Absolutely, I know, right? Shit.
Christ.
What is the cutoff for boomers?
I don't know, actually.
1960 something.
I have a relative who was like on the very edge, the coattails, and I think it was 1960 was kind of the end. Even though if you're going to be literal, like the baby,
I think it was like 65, 66 is the technical.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like 66 was the first Gen Xer, I guess.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think the generational, I think they're being really general because, as I've said with my generation, if you're a millennial and you grew up before the internet, you're not in the same generational group as someone who's grown up where they only knew what the internet was like, right? If you never had to use a library card, if you never had to if you had to go make sure no one else was on the phone or not expecting to call when you got on the internet, then you're not going to like the kids nowadays, teenagers, 20-year-olds who only know smartphones. I don't know what to say. So for someone who's like a baby boomer, that's a wide generational thing. It's like, because I know people who are considered baby boomers, but they grew up or were young adults when during the recession back in the 80s when interest rates were 20% or something like that. Like that's a little bit different from back in the 60s or something like that. When the original baby boomers, 1964. Yeah, I just think that they're being way. Maybe back historically, 20 years could be a generational thing because technology didn't change so much. But we've had so many changes each decade. It seems like, there's just been way too many technological advances. I think the smartphone will probably be one of the biggest ones in modern history.
2007, yep.
I think that, TJ, to expound on your point, I think that it's not just technology, it's how technology changed how we socialize.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend about this before we got on the podcast. I don't remember anybody saying they had social anxiety 15 years ago.
No, fuck no.
No.
But then, TJ, we're around the same age. You remember when AOL Instant Messenger came out? And then everything just kept going after that, right? Well, these kids, so my sisters are in their late 20s. I'm in my early 30s. We were all in that same generation of DSL, dial-up internet, and everybody 2 years after that
had no idea.
25-year-old, they missed all that. They were too young to be on the internet for the DSL. They didn't have kids stuff from the internet back then.
No, you're absolutely correct, and it's also increased the people's low attention.
Oh my God! It's kind of killed mine. Where it's really hard for me to you know what it is? It just occurred to me what the anxiety is because social interactions back before then, you were on the phone with someone, you finished the call, you hung up, and then you went and did something else. Well, now you've got a walking, I don't have my phone with me, but you have a walking instant access device to you at all times.
Yeah.
And it's not like a beeper, or a pager. You got the little pager on doctors, lawyers, whatever.
Girls.
Girls.
They had them, dude. Seriously. The women I knew, they fucking had pagers.
Yeah,
they did.
And I think it's because now we can't separate when we're focusing on one thing. So there's some nights when I just want to sit and listen to some audiobook, or I want to read some long book by my fireplace. But I get a text or a message, and I'm thinking, okay, that could be really important, or it could be really trivial. I have no idea until I go check. And if I don't check,
it's never important. That's a problem.
Yeah, it's almost because back then people they would hold it in until they saw you again. Until they were going to see you again, and then they're like, you know what? I'll just hold that back, whatever I was going to say, and then you go meet with someone, and then you say all this other stuff. But now I think that's maybe why it's so hard for us to connect with people in person that we talk to online, because anything we were going to say, we already said. Yeah. So it's time to go do something, at least as men.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree, and I think it's it also changed our etiquette, right? Our etiquette around how we communicate with one another. I remember 10 years ago, you could text somebody and they don't text back for 2 days. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're older. It's all right. They're 40, they're 50. They're a professor. They had this job. Now, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah. people were getting
bad. Yeah. No, that's what kind of. I was gone on a trip to France earlier this year where I didn't have access to my Facebook account, and I didn't have Messenger. I don't have the apps on my phone. And I got back, and there's some people, I saw their messages, and they were basically freaking out when I didn't respond within certain time periods. And it's the same thing now. And I'm kind of almost tempted to go back to getting rid of my smartphone and going back to a flip phone.
Yeah. It might be cool just for the novelty of it.
Right, but also
just the novelty.
Well, honestly, if it was up to me, if it was just some days, I'm tempted to, if my job wasn't a restriction, I would get rid of all that and I would just have a landline. Right? Somebody really wants to get a hold of me, they can leave a message on my phone or whatever, and on your Star Trek tricorder. No. But here's the important thing. When people get a hold of me, they are not going to waste my time because they know that is the only time that they're going to get.
Well, you could still set boundaries and not have people waste your time with.
But people use instantaneous communication as an excuse. Well,
who cares?
I understand saying who cares, but it's how much grief do you want to deal with? Whereas,
just because you don't see it instantaneously, you're still going to get grief. What are you doing with that phone? Aren't you coming into the 20th century? What the hell is wrong with you? Get your blah, blah, blah phone. You're still going to hear it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of people were told that about, what was that thing that before VHS, before VCRs, it was the B tapes or
the
8-track.
Oh, 8-track. Well, that was before cassettes. Well, cassettes and 8-tracks.
You're getting way back there now.
Cassettes and 8-tracks were around the same time.
Cassette. No, cassettes came after 8-tracks.
Did they? I thought there was it was sort of like the same time, and then it's like the
there
VCR,
was about
like
a 3 to 5 year gap between the two. No, 8-tracks were first.
Well, I'm just saying how I don't know how I don't know how long we're going to be able to keep doing this stuff. Not this stuff, but just
this stuff too.
I think as the pendulum swings one way, it has to swing another way, right? We're 10 years into this technology, and I think that we have pushed the human experience far enough. Like, I don't think we can do this at this level, and I think we're going to have a retraction where people are saying, "Hey, I want to see people. I want to touch people. I need to be in an intimate space again." I think that we went too far one way and we're going back another way because it was so new. You know, there was never Twitter before. It was never Instagram before, and YouTube and all these things. Now we have all this. Now it's like, okay, look, I've had this for 10 years. I remember when my friend called me and told me to get on YouTube for the first time.
Wow. I remember that too. It was crazy. I remember watching that. I was like, people can just upload videos?
Yeah.
Or I remember how big of a deal. You know what's another interesting thing with Facebook? Really fascinating was we're the same age. Facebook had come out and expanded enough to where friends of mine were on Facebook, but it was only for college students.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this is so cool. You get access to all these you can establish contacts with college people. Well, you get on. Well, now they've opened it up to everybody. And I think that we may be on the cusp of watching social media giants collapse because YouTube, for example, costs Google tons of money. They don't make money off of that at all. And now they're going to be shrinking their profits even more by restricting what people can post. Mm-hmm. I just always look at, say, like with Blockbuster and Sears, Roebuck and Company, all these great giants from previous eras that were doing really well, and then something came along that just completely blindsided them like a blitzing linebacker, just And I'm wondering if we're on that because I was reading this old article about MySpace where they were saying it was going to have a natural monopoly. This was 2007, and I was thinking this is how people just can't anticipate the future. Really,
I think that what social media did for humanity was that it made everybody famous.
Yes.
Okay.
You got your 15 seconds of mediocrity.
Right.
What came out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now the problem, well, I'm gonna say the problem, but the new solution is how do we provide intimacy?
Right. Wow, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
How do you provide private and meaningful relations online?
Blockchain. There we go.
Mm.
Yeah, man. Because see, for example,
that's kind of I've always been thinking about that, and it didn't occur to me that that's where we're going to kind of go in the future. Is now you have access to everything, and everybody has access to you. So how do you restrict both?
Yeah, it's that exclusivity, right? Exclusivity. I don't know. You know what I'm talking
That's right. You were right the first time.
Yeah, but I think that, for example, imagine a social network where it's just 3 or 4 people, and that's it. These are just my friends. Nobody has access to my pictures. It's Rob, Vincent, and TJ. That's it. Somebody's going to sell that, as opposed to, for example, I got between all my social media, I probably have 40,000 people.
Damn.
I can't talk to 40,000 people, man.
Yeah.
You know, I can't even pay attention. You know, so it's like, well, I would love to talk to 3 people in a day, and that's it. It's like a flip phone for social media. That's what's going to happen. I think 2 or 3 years, they're going to make a flip phone for social media. It'll be one app. You share a picture or two. Keep it super simple. Don't share location. You know, and I think that's what's going to happen because people don't imagine a 20-year-old. They've never experienced intimacy.
See, that's another thing where, that also didn't occur to me as someone who's grown up with only the internet, where everything about them has been public. And so one of the things that I think has to change that people need, like mindset that people need to get out of, is seeing this kind of stuff as you need to be the customer. Because social media, up to this point, you're not the customer, you're the product. And so, of course, you're providing content for free or they're not charging you because you're not the customer. So let's say someone does a subscription thing where they do, $2 a month, $3 a month, kind of like my VPN service. $2, $3 a month, you have an online restricted private group. They have an explicit contract that says that they cannot and will not sell any of your information. They will not share your information. Nothing gets shared with anybody. They're not there to sell ads. And it goes back to the days where you would do like a family recording of something, right? You would do some sort of like cool family video, and then you would show it to friends and family on the VCR, and that's it. I think what could kill social media is when children who've grown up in this age get older and they start suing over their photos and videos being put on social media against their will.
Yeah.
Meaning they're right. I understand people will say, well, right to privacy is not the Constitution. This could set up a very interesting case because never before in the history of mankind has it been possible for a human being's entire life, outside of the Truman Show, which was fiction, but their entire life has been publicized by their folks, and they were not given any privacy. And then they get online. Right? Yeah.
They consent to that. Because I mean, Facebook is how old now? 13 years old, 14 years old?
Yeah, something like that.
It's teenagers their pictures are on their baby pictures are on Facebook.
Oh yeah. 20, 30 years ago.
I can only imagine, like, I can say this from me. I would be very, I wouldn't say embarrassed, but just I wouldn't want a lot of my childhood photos to be to be publicized, or to be first of all, to be controlled by Facebook, right? The evil Zuckerberg. I wouldn't want him to have access to those photos. And you would also, this is kind of hard for me to talk about with people my age who've got kids, but I'm always thinking, have you ever thought about how they're going to feel about this when they're in their 20s or in high school, when their peers are going to have access to those photos and be able to see them? And like, it's almost like your people having access to your family, like dress, the desk where they've got the photos.
It is. That's exactly what it is. Like I remember showing girls baby pictures that nobody had seen. And
well, that was your choice. Yeah.
That was my choice, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is how I was in 7th grade. This is how I was in 8th grade. Now it's like, let me go look up Steve's mom's photo albums on Facebook, and I can go see everything about him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think privatization of social media, and in that sense, I mean that by making intimate settings within social media, a 19, 20-year-old has not experienced that yet, and I think that they would want that at some level.
So you see these companies being broken down or forced to comply with that, or just other companies building that up and dispersing it?
At this point, there are people old enough who they experienced the internet their whole life that would create something like that.
Right. And it's almost as though, like with Blockbuster wasn't broken up by the government. It was just undermined. Same thing with Sears. So I see something similar occurring where the social media giants have just engaged in so much incredibly criminal behavior with people's data and personal information that there's, like Steve was saying, there's going to be a reaction to that. And it's going to be where someone offers a cheap, affordable alternative where it's very much like you are the customer and saying, we will never sell your information. We will never do any of this. And they make it easy for you to sign up and connect with people. And they make it also so that people can't share. I think this is going to be key, where they can't share information. Like you share something with somebody, they can't take it and share it outside that group. Now, whether that's screenshots or whether that's whatever, downloading it or something like that. Because I think that's another problem that we see a lot of days with social media is people will screenshot stuff or stuff that's meant to be private. I just think it's either that or it's going to cause people to really go almost one alternative theory is people just go retro. They say, we got to get off the internet. We got to start meeting up in person, or we got to come up with something alternative to what I don't know. I think that's almost where they're saying we need to have guarantees of privacy. But I think privacy is going to become much more important for a generation that's coming up. And people will say, oh, they don't care because everything they've known has been private. Well, that's the point. Insisting on privacy is going to be a rebellious thing to do for that generation, for the Zoomers.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a question, to put out to everybody on the panel and even in the chat. One thing that just came to my mind, and it's related to a different topic, but you can apply it to this topic where we're talking about the need for intimacy, the need for privacy for a generation that's never known it. I've had people come to me. The example would be, oh, you missed out in having siblings. Okay, well, I've never had siblings, so that is a completely foreign fucking concept to me. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not missing out on anything. There's nothing to miss. I never had it. It's not like I had a brother or a sister that moved away or died or something where I could say, oh yeah, I missed that. It's also like I've never been a father. And so to me, oh, you don't know what it's like. You're right. I don't. I have no idea what that's like. It's a completely foreign concept. I can appreciate it for guys who have done it, but I don't know what it's like because I've never experienced it. And if you have a generation that their whole life is online and everything is public, do you really honestly think they would miss the privacy if they've never had it? I'm not saying it's a right or wrong answer, but it's just, I'm kind of wondering, would they miss it?
That's a good question.
If they've never had it.
That's
Same with the intimacy.
I think that's a legitimate point, and I think that if it weren't so deeply ingrained in the human experience, we want some things that we want to be able to keep to ourselves. It reminds me of most of you probably have not seen this movie, but it's called Night Crossing. It's about these two East German families that go from East Germany to West Germany, and I was reading about why. One of the guys was writing about why they decided to leave, and he was saying how there was economic reasons. They were not members of the Communist Party, so you couldn't, if you weren't part of the Communist Union, you couldn't get good jobs, right? So they were kind of kept out of stuff. They weren't political. But he said another thing was, really what it came down to was a lack of privacy. They couldn't have a conversation in their own home with people without wondering if they were East German police, the Stasi, right? So a lack of privacy is really what drove them to go over. And people will say, well, what does that matter? These people were young enough to where the Berlin Wall had been up their entire lives, almost, right? They were in their early 20s. They were in their 30s, these two men with families. So even in East Germany, having grown up with that, they still had a desire for privacy. And so now, yes, they were on the outlier on that, but I think that that's going to be the outlier that drives this new innovation, where it's going to be a couple of Zoomers, kind of like how Mark Zuckerberg was designing Facebook for his own personal reasons. There's going to be some Zoomers who are going to be creating a new site or new system or new experience explicitly designed to protect privacy online. But it's going to be selfish. Like, it's not going to be benevolent, selfless, charitable work. They're going to do it purely out of their own selfish reasons. And then they're going to see that there's a market demand for that, and they're going to sell it and make a lot of money. Now, how that's going to look, I don't know. I think that that's where I almost kind of envy them, because you almost have to experience what it's like to grow up fully within the life of the internet to be able to even think about what that looks like. Because there's a lot of, we've grown up where we know the benefits of the internet, right? We know the experience of not having to look up a book in the library and being able to look up so much information at the click of a button. I can do so much work from my desk right here that would require me to go do all sorts of legwork in real life. So I know that, but all they think about is how everything they do the moment they get online is tracked. So how do you avoid that?
So check this out, TJ. Y'all remember, this is 2019. So y'all remember like 2000, 2001? Yeah. Everybody was anon online. Nobody had a real name. It was like taboo to go by your real name. You didn't post any pictures. You barely said where you were from. Okay. I think they're going to go retro like that.
Go back to anonymous?
Yeah. It's going to be like, imagine a social network with no real photos, okay, straight gifts, memes, but no physical, human features. I'm TJ's black friend, and that's all, right? Because that's what it used to be like in 2001.
Well, and so it reminds me of this movie that Rob recommended I see, and I thought it was great for all of it, whatever its faults. I know some people hated it, but Ready Player One. Which is about everybody being anonymous on this interactive thing, kind of like real life World of Warcraft. And yet, what is the desire of the main character? He wants to meet this girl he's met online in real life. He wants to know her real name. There's going to be that experience to actually know someone for real, to know that isn't just a front, or they're not creating a facade. So that may be the case where we go back to anonymous behavior online if the government doesn't ban it. I think that we're going to get to that. Well, we're going to get to the point where, mark my words, you will be required to provide your social security number to set up an email account or to do any kind of other stuff where you actually do any kind of interaction online. They're going to require you to prove to connect your identity with something where you actually make commentary or something like that. That's why news sites have already banned comments on below their stories. But I think there's always going to be that desire to have real life interaction, even if it's not in person. At least you know who they are. You know it's real. Because like he says in Ready Player One, that chick could be a 300-pound dude from Detroit named Chucky. Think about that.
Well, and we're already kind of there in a lot of ways. I remember, I think it was Ryan Stone and some guys, we were bullshitting in the replies type of thing. And it was one of those, there are no women on the internet. You know, until you get like kind of like this, you get real-time interaction, whether it's FaceTime or Duo or Skype or YouTube, until you can see them and talk to them. That there are no women on the internet. It's all 300-pound dudes. You know, just because they talk like a woman and they got the avatar of a woman doesn't mean they're a fucking woman.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. Like, it's true. Disturbing. Well, it's disturbing that there's a guy who would pretend to be a woman online.
Yep.
Like, why? Like, it's for some reason it's less creepy to see a girl pretending to be a man, because then the guys are like treating him as another guy, right? But I mean, imagine being a guy pretending to be a girl. You know, you've got the fake avatar, got the fake photo, and you're getting all the creepy messages, guys. And you just need to go detox, right?
I don't know how. What's wrong with you? You know,
that's funny.
But I think that, TJ, to your point though, I think that they're gonna sell. If I was making that network, right? If I was making a new type of social media or a new type of human interaction experience, I would sell people on privacy. Okay? Right. You're not going to have your photo up. You're not going to get judged by your looks. You're not going to get judged by likes and, you know, whatever filter you can put up.
Right.
It's going to be your personality. That's it. Because you've never been judged on your personality before.
I think another one will be if someone can invent a way to block screenshots.
Netflix
blocking that stuff. If they can come up with a way to do that on a site, so essentially you can see the photo, but you can't share the photo, you can't save the photo,
save it,
you can't screen save it, you can't screen private chats or whatever. It's totally, and I almost think that with a conversation, if maybe you're doing a writing thing where you can click to save it, but if it's not saved, it's going to go away. Because how many times? Here's a big thing that I has bothered me for years about online interactions. We all say stuff that we regret. The difference was before the internet, we could say stuff we regretted that no one would remember. People wouldn't remember. And even then, if they remember, it'd have been like, yeah, you know, kind of.
It was only one or two people, too.
It was only one or two people.
And now the internet never forgets.
Yeah, the internet never forgets. And it doesn't provide often the context for what you said or did. And so it's almost as though you go one or two ways. You don't say anything because you're afraid of what's going to say, or you're just like, screw it. You know, they're going to hang me anyways. Might as well just say whatever comes to my mind. But I think that that's going to actually be a novelty thing for a lot of young people is no one's going to have anything on you, or at least, like that sense of, I remember when I was reading a history book about how there were people who, if they were indentured servants or whatever they were, their ability to put a lock on their door was a big deal because it meant you had a right to privacy. So almost that could be the symbol of what do they call it, where you take the little hook and you put it over the door handle so they can't open it, whatever it is. Like that, it was a symbol of the idea that the interior of your house was yours and people did not have the right to come in unless you gave them permission. It's almost like the modern day version of that, where people have a right to say, no, that's not your business. And nowadays we have this attitude of, well, if you want to hide something, it's because you've done something wrong. No, maybe it's because there's nothing wrong legally with having embarrassing baby photos, but your parents put them up when you were 5 years old and you didn't have a say.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that TJ, you made me think about a lot of things when you talked about that. But I think that so the thing I was thinking about the most was people saying, screw it, I'm gonna say what I want to say, and then people are being very timid. And so if we go and look at real life, 20-year-olds are really, really timid now.
Yeah.
Fucking pussies.
You know what I mean? Because they're scared to express an opinion because they've had to hide their opinion in real life because now you can get recorded saying something crazy.
Right.
You know, and so they're protecting themselves in a way that we didn't have to do. So like I'll meet 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 17-year-olds in Canada, the United States, in Brazil, and they don't have opinions about anything.
No.
Or they're like really vocal, and it's not natural. Because when I was 16, 17, 18, I wasn't just like, I mean, let me try to piss everybody off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happens. You like, especially like, what's the girl? The climate change girl, the 15-year-old, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, God,
Greta.
yeah. Helga, Olga, something or other.
She would have been an SGA chick at her high school. And that's how far it would have went. She might have got on some like local PBS channel for climate change one day. Nobody takes that serious. But because so few children have opinions, now she's getting a Nobel Prize or whatever for saying like everything that Captain Planet said in the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's true. And what's sad is also it reminds me of when this recent newspaper story where some guy did some fundraiser and the reporter started looking through his old tweets.
Yeah.
Like completely irrelevant to what he was doing. And then of course people looked up the reporter's tweets from back in the day.
Yeah.
And he did something bad. So he got fired and the other guy it's just like, guys, first of all, not only that, but the rules of what's acceptable have continually changed to where, I mean, do you remember what was allowed on the internet back in 2007?
Everything, okay?
Yeah, you could say anything you wanted. And people would say, and the response back then was, well, if you don't like it, don't go to the website.
Yeah. Don't fucking read it. Go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. One of the responses people used to say about TV was, if you don't like the show, change the channel.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it. So now it's like that's no longer, that argument will get that, saying that alone will get you deplatformed.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
We're gonna get shut down in about 5 minutes here. You watch.
I'm gonna refill.
But yeah, it's unfortunate that we have allowed society we've allowed a few people to silence a majority of people, and people want real conversation. People are tired of walking on eggshells. I talked about this before, but like, how long we walk on eggshells to not offend somebody else? You know, this is like Puritan level. Y'all remember the Puritans, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the same thing they were doing. They're just doing it for a organized religion.
Nope.
The same thing now for a disorganized new religion.
It is a new religion too. No shit.
This is something that Chess sent me.
Oh, what is this?
Read it.
I need my goddamn spectacles. I can't see what the fuck it says.
You should be able to zoom in.
Can I?
Okay, Zoomer.
I can't zoom in. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
What are you talking about, boy?
Nah.
Well,
Maybe you can zoom on your screen, Boomer, but I can't on mine.
It's showing up fine on mine. I don't know what to tell you.
Jesus Christ, you're gonna have to make me actually go get my reading glasses.
You have to get.
I can't even read
Almighty.
it. I'm looking right at it. I can't read it.
Yeah, all right. I'll be right back. Leave that shit up, Vince.
All right.
Atham, look it up.
Well, we can have Rob read it.
wow, man, this is, you hit the nail on the head, man.
That's kind of why I think when I get really nostalgic when I watch old stuff that I have recorded where it talks about having, the idea of having two separate phone lines. I think it's because it really comes down to economics. Scarcity creates value. And when it's that easy to get a hold of people, you don't value the communication as much because it's, I don't know. It's like an economic thing, really what it comes down to. Okay, Rob, Mr. Old Man.
That's right. I'm still fucking having a hell of a time with it here.
You want me to read it?
Yes, please. You're killing me.
All right, this is from Anonymous, and the picture is some dude with a wine glass that says "Eat shit."
I got that part. I got the eat shit.
You got the eat shit JPEG. If I can pontificate a bit for your edification, one of the rules of the internet is there are no girls on the internet. This rule does not mean what you think it means. In real life, people like you for being a girl. They want to fuck you, so they pay attention to you, and they pretend They pretend what you have to say is interesting or that you are smart or clever. On the internet, we don't have the chance to fuck you. This means the advantage of being a girl does not exist. You don't get a bonus to conversation just because I like to put my cock in you. When you make a post like, herder, I'm a girl, you are begging for attention. The only reason to post it is because you want your girl advantage back. Because you are too vapid and too stupid to do or say anything interesting without it. You are forgetting the rules. There are no girls on the internet. The one exception to this rule, the one way you can get your girlness back on the internet, is to post your tits. This is and should be degrading for you, an admission that the only interesting thing about you is your naked body. Too long didn't read. Tits or get the fuck out.
There it is.
I think it's a less crass version of that is proof that you're a girl. And of course, nowadays it's like, how do we prove that? Because I look at some men and I'm like, I almost can't tell if you're a girl.
Well, no,
like, where's the Adam's apple? I need some sort of confirmation.
But just from certain the way men respond versus the way women respond to questions, you can usually tell.
Well,
if there's a lot of bullshit and indignation, it's probably a girl.
So either that or it's a game. Here's the one thing I think is a good principle. All photos of the females are deceitful.
Oh yeah.
All of them.
Right.
All of them. Because I've seen too many photos of a girl, and then you see them either in real life or you see a video of them where it's like you actually seen it. And that's not a mark against the girl. It's just you portrayed yourself as being this young, skinny chick. And instead, that was a photo from when you were in high school, and now you're in your early 30s, but you never said anything about that. That kind of thing. I'm not talking about dating sites. I'm just talking about, online interaction. So my hypothesis, first of all, if she's doing the photo from above,
yeah, that's a giveaway.
You know what's going on there.
If it's a bust shot, like from about here up, from about shoulders up, and that's all you get, or you get those weird fucking poses, that's a fat girl.
Yeah. If she's doing the full body thing where she's, in some dress and someone's taking a photo of her, like kind of like the high school homecoming photo, first of all, that may have been what she looked like.
Yeah. Well, if there's any series of
photos, can't hold the newspaper with the date, right?
Yeah. If
there's like hostage photo, this was taken when I was.
If there are any series of photos of women without a full body shot, she's fat.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's the way it goes. I mean, for good or for ill.
She's either fat or she's insecure or both. Either way, it's a bare minimum. It's an amber flag, if not an outright red flag.
And I gotta be honest, I that's what I kind of also dislike about the internet is this whole obsession that men and women have it. We have it in different ways. This obsession with appearances, where we got to portray ourselves a certain way, and that makes us really anxious about. Oh, am I keeping up this image that I created myself? That's where I'm almost.
Social media is a double-edged sword because it almost perpetuates that.
Yeah, because I'm always thinking, or I'm not thinking, but that's where I just was like, you know what? If I worry about this stuff, it's gonna consume me, right? This is what I am, and if a photo happens to make me look bad, I just don't care.
I remember back in 06, 07, we didn't even smile in pictures. Okay, you look dead in the camera. This is my profile picture. Here we go.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you even try to do any kind of model thing, it was like, hold up, man, are you gay or something? Like, what's going on? You look away, like, look down, like, whoa, what you got going on, man? You see the camera right here?
No, that's true.
And so this is my hypothesis, TJ. Social media made men much more vain than they should be.
That is a good point.
I had
made everybody much more vain.
Yeah. I had a guy he was a true cell, whatever it is. If any of y'all guys are incels or in that whole community.
Oh no. Okay? That when I hear those words, I just think more for me.
Yeah. So this guy was like, yeah, man, Jeremy Meeks, he's every woman wants him, and he got a billionaire, and I don't look like Jeremy Meeks, and I had this small little defect in my face, and I can't get women because of it. I was like, dude, Jeremy Meeks, what are you talking about? And so I think the top 10% of man is being compared to the bottom 10 or 20% of man. And so the bottom 10 or 20% are getting super frustrated because they never had to look at this guy.
That is actually really true, especially with the girls. When would they ever get to see these guys that, Chad, whatever his name is, Chad Harley McBadboy? They would never see him. And so their access would really be visually, their access would be high school and maybe college. And you kind of made your choices there. Now they have the illusion of unlimited choices. Oh, this guy's really great, but Chad, even greater thunder, might show up the next day. And you just don't.
I actually have a few Degara types from 1800s.
44 modems. Yeah, well, we beat you. We had 56K modem.
Ooh. Who didn't? You eventually got there. You stepped up 14.
And then we got the DSL, baby.
Yeah. Then you were rocking the neighborhood.
Yeah. Then we could go on the internet and make phone calls at the exact same time.
Yeah. Steven, I'm curious. In Brazil, all this social media, phone carrying, vanity bullshit. Culturally speaking, what's the climate like down there?
It's different. Some things are very similar. Some things are a bit different. They're serious about text messaging.
Really?
Yeah, if TJ were to text me and we're friends, and if I don't respond quickly, we have a problem.
Wow.
It's a real, wow. Because as an American, somebody texts me, I'll text you back. But I would not text back for an hour, and men were having problems with it.
Really?
Yeah, even are we not friends? What's
what happened? What I say? What I do?
Yeah, and so I had some people pretty mad at me a couple times, and then I was seeing I wouldn't respond for a little bit. They were like, hey, we don't do this in Brazil, The other thing is they don't do selfies a lot.
Thank God.
So there, what they do is for example, if we were at a bar in America, I would take a picture of myself at the bar. There, it's always together. It'd be all four of us would be in a picture together, in a selfie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't do anything alone, which is pretty cool. So, but also, because it's so hot out there, nobody wears clothes, so it's a very sexual place. Because nobody wears clothes, everybody's always dancing or going to the beach. So
nice.
Everybody's a little bit more vain because of the beach, not because of social media.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Because it's always been that way.
That's good motivation to keep in shape.
Yeah, and so also with that being said, there is no political correctness at all.
That was my next question.
So they'll say oi veado. So veado translates as deer, but it's actually the F word. So they just call people that. Men and women call each other that all the time.
That's funny.
Viado.
Fuck.
No, the other F word.
Oh, okay.
The other F word, okay? For gay people.
Okay. That's funny.
So they call
other friend. Okay.
Oh, everybody. You must be an Aaron.
So they I was living in Canada and I went straight to Brazil, and then
oh wow.
They were saying this on television. They say this in music. They say this in traffic. They say this to people
in traffic.
In other news.
Funny.
But they don't
in other news tonight.
How liberating.
Right.
Be non-PC.
Yeah, and then the other thing is fat people do not get a pass at all.
They're throwing fucking vegetables at him and shit. Get off my beach, you fat fucker. You fat
Here's
Yeah.
Here's some barbells.
Yeah.
you get hit upside the head with weights.
Go on a diet, fatty.
Like women, especially women, if a woman gets even like not even fat, but if she's like a little bigger, they're like, "Are you pregnant? Like, are you pregnant?"
Oh man,
Like,
that's
shit.
awesome.
we gotta import those people over here
Yeah, man.
because
no,
we need a
we need
little bit of
to
shaming over here
we
because
need a little bit more backbone over here.
well, no, it's just in America, at least in certain sections of the country, if you're not quite a land whale, but you're getting to where King A or Captain Ahab might try to harpoon you. You're still considered it's body positivity or something like that. I'm thinking, no, we need to bring in the shame brigade.
Oh, they got them.
Oh, we got to. You know what? Can we import those immigrants to this country?
All of it.
I'm fully supportive of importing those people and then dispersing them throughout the four corners of the country.
Oh, yeah.
To
They're
cleanse.
very critical of your looks, like face to face.
Wow.
Everything face to face, man. Like,
And I'm curious, what's the personal space distance? Because in the United States, it's about 2 feet.
0.
They just like right up in your face.
Right in your fucking
They
grill,
just
huh?
they're spitting at you.
It's not in your face.
Mm.
Imagine if we were all next to each other. If we were Brazilian, our legs would be touching.
Really?
Whoa.
That's how close.
No
But they
shit.
don't necessarily break the personal bubble like standing. But
Yeah.
what we do is, so they do a lot of this in real life. They do a lot of this. It's actually really cool. Like, whatever you're doing, like, let's say we all went to a bar or whatever. We finish our drinks and we're not leaving for another hour. We're going to stop drinking. We're going to sit down. And we're just going to talk about all the things. Nobody, and then they don't turn their backs to each other. So, like, imagine if somebody else came, I would just include them in the circle before I turn my back like this.
Mm.
And so what happens is, like, everybody just touches you all, like men and women touch you all the time.
Hmm.
And so in the first couple of weeks, I was like, "Hey, y'all, like, what are you doing, man? Like,
What the fuck? Stop touching me, motherfucker.
That's not how we do things in my
Step
country.
off. Step off.
right, you know?" And then I started to understand, like, okay, they're just showing hospitality to me. They're showing friendship to me.
Yeah.
Like, another thing, man, like, as homophobic as the men are, they do a lot of gay stuff. The men, like you'll meet a guy. So I meet Vincent for the first time. Guys kiss dudes on the hand.
Really?
They'll shake the guy's hand and kiss him on the hand.
No shit.
Wow.
Yeah, or if I haven't seen Rob in a while and I know Rob, the guys will kiss each other on the cheek.
Wow.
Okay.
No hesitation.
They do that. They do that in Europe as well.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
it's like they do like in a manly way, man. You know, like the first couple of times I'm like, dude, this dude just kissed my hand, dude. Like, chill out, you know. But it's usually like it's older men that'll kiss you on the cheek, but it's never like it's like older man, younger man type of situation, close friends or family. You won't see that with like, you know, at a club or something like that. You won't see that.
Yeah.
As much as they call people viados, you don't. They won't do that to a gay person.
Really?
They don't. They never say it to gay people. It's only.
It's not really.
We talk bad about you, but not to your face.
Yeah. No, we don't.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
it's no way disrespectful then.
no, but then like it's such a strange place because it's so conservative and liberal at the same time. So they have a lot of.
That's a really interesting dynamic because I'm working on we're doing stuff on the Masculine Geek handbook and stuff like that, and I'm looking at how in America there's just so much confusion in the West, and I'm struggling because I'm generalizing, but I'm really thinking of the West. We are so confused about how to express ourselves as men because one of the things that we struggle with is how to dress and how, you know, how much should you focus on your fashion tastes, right? The way you dress, the way you present yourself, the way you carry yourself and all this other stuff. And what topics, like, why is this thing considered masculine and why is this thing considered feminine? And like you were saying, like, you know, in France and in other cultures, masculine men would go up to each other and kiss each other on the cheek.
Yeah.
Why is that not acceptable in America?
Puritanism.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
Protestant.
Yeah.
But even within, say, the more liberal areas.
All those blue laws.
Well, you know, TJ, here's the other part I wanted to finish with. As PC as they are not, they call all trans women women. Like if you bump into one, like I was with one of my friends during Carnival, and somebody was selling me beer or whatever, and it was a trans woman, and it was like it wasn't a big deal. We were talking, it was like a guy, obviously, but he had a dress on, so it was a woman. Nobody made a big deal about it, and it's like, how can you be that not PC and then be PC at the same time? And I think, man, it's a lot, man. They have like, I wish I could show y'all the pictures, but so my friend is in capoeira. Okay, so capoeira is a Afro-Brazilian martial art. Anybody who wants to know about it, look it up on YouTube. So his girlfriend, her dad was a master of capoeira. So I'm 6'2". Her dad is 6'5", 260.
Oh shit.
Okay.
God.
Dreads down to here, down his back. And the guy had on a dress. Okay. So during Carnival, all the masculine men wear a dress as a costume with lipstick and eyeshadow and women's shoes. This is the first time I meet him. He's drunk, hugging me.
Shit.
I don't know.
It's got to be one of the most awkward.
So it's him. It's my friend's girlfriend's dad.
Guy's just looming over you in a dress.
I'm not a small guy, and he's way bigger than me.
That's funny.
He's like off the top. You know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing this, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? I don't speak any. It's only like 5 weeks into me being there. I don't speak Portuguese yet. And I'm just like, dude, what is this? Come to find out, all the most macho guys wear dresses during Carnival for this one event or whatever. But I say this is like, it's a play on masculinity, right?
Yeah. Now, can you explain Carnival briefly?
Okay, so everybody knows what Mardi Gras is.
Yeah.
Same thing, except for way more fun, and it's hot outside, and it lasts for a week.
I like it. Yep, yeah. I like it.
Sounds like Brazil's a mind fucking away.
No, it is, man. It is. And I think that it's a lot of things they do right. It's a lot of things that we used to do right.
Yeah.
As Americans. And I think that somewhere along the way we let the crazy people run the asylum.
Yeah.
Whether we got lazy.
We talk about that a lot, yeah.
Whether we stopped paying attention, I don't know, but I think that we made a mistake. And so what do we do now, right? Do we reclaim what is ours? Or do we continue to allow what's going on to keep going,
Stephen, I'm really interested in your thought on that, because you were mentioning at the beginning, and that's something that I've really been struggling with is, what do we do moving forward? Because the insane lunatics are running the asylum, but they're not just running the asylum; they're running society. And I think it is genuine laziness, because people their lives are so comfortable that they're willing to stand up to this stuff until it's too late. But you're telling me, from what you said at the beginning, this is still your home and where you're from and America. And that's kind of the way I feel. For all the problems that I have here, the question I go back to is, where is there a better place? And what I'm curious about is, what are the things that we're doing either right, or is there something about America that makes you feel at home? Because some of the stuff is just, at least in my region where I'm from, I'm here, and there's enough cultural norms or traditions that I feel at home.
So, I'll answer that question. First, somebody asked me something. Sim, eu falo português muito bom. Somebody asked me if I speak Portuguese. Next thing, guys, this is the guy I'm talking about. Okay? This is a big guy.
Oh, shit. That's
300 guys look like that with eyeshadow on. And they walk up on you with a beer and say, hey,
it's like an army.
You're like, oh, man, what's going on? Come on, Steve.
That's funny.
But so this is what I'll say America does a really good job at. even though I think that we believe that we are losing some of our not just masculine values, but I think we're losing some of our cultural norms and what it means to be American for men and women. But we are still making badass masculine men. Because I've lived in Canada, and Canada is like, I've thought about committing crimes just to make people like rock up. Like I was in the gym and I considered bullying. Like I considered to start to bully grown men because like it's so weak in Canada, man. It's super duper weak, man. Like I'm walking around 11 o'clock at night in Chinatown in back alleys just because it's not even dirty. Like it's
even the bad parts of Canada are
You're
clean.
wandering around playing thug life, going, where the masculine men at, man?
Kick some ass.
It's like, and what I mean by that is, you know, I live in Alabama. The only thing we have to worry about at 11 o'clock at night are animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I mean by that is I've lived in a culture where you do not have to worry about your own safety or the safety of your family, and it makes men weak.
Yes.
Okay? It makes them weak at a level that it's not natural for men to be as weak as Canadian men are.
Jesus.
And I have confirmed this with Brazilians who know Canadians. So two countries.
Even they're like, Canada's a bunch of pussies.
No, literally. Okay. And they say sorry for everything. And so I think that because we have guns still give men a level of apprehension to the next man. So he has to be masculine in some kind of way. With that being said, the gay men in Brazil are more masculine than half the men in America.
Damn.
That doesn't even shock me.
That is not a good judgment. That is not a good observation.
Like, and it was a lot of gay guys in Brazil, okay? Because y'all, if Vince, I don't know if you follow me, Rob, you know I was taking dance classes.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of stories, guys. But anyway, dance class, and my teacher was cool. He spoke like 5 English words, and there's tons of women there. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm in Brazil, dance class, a bunch of women. And you know, I'm going for like 3 times. I'm going twice a week at this point. And about 2 weeks in, I'm like, there's not a lot of guys here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of chicks. And so my teacher says, hey, Steven, I've never told this story. So he says, come to this island with us. It's because I lived on a peninsula city, so the island is maybe an hour away by ferry. So I said, okay, I'll come. I said, hey, it's a guy here that speaks English. I'm like, okay, cool. So it's a guy named Leo. And so I get there and Leo meets me. Leo's probably 24, 25, super gay. Okay. And he's the first person I can communicate with in like 3 weeks. So he's cool. I'm talking to him in the boat ride. He's the only person I can talk to. Nobody else can talk to me. It's a married guy on the boat. And all the men there that are on the boat are gay, but I didn't know this. It's married men. It's like 3 sets of married men, and they're straight. And there are no more straight guys. I didn't know there was a bunch of gay dudes until I get on the boat. And so I'm with them the entire day.
Okay. Shit.
And so like so like they're like, hey, you want to play volleyball? I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. So we play volleyball. I'm hanging out with everybody. Everything is cool. But I got to spend a day with all these people. And they were like super chill guys. You know, like until they start like making out of nowhere, man. Like it was wild, man. I didn't know this was gonna happen. Okay, I had no idea.
Oh, wait a minute!
What the fuck?
Hell, and I'm stuck on this island.
I thought they were gay when they started kissing.
Jesus.
Something everybody's normal, regular straight guys, until everybody starts kissing. I'm like, whoa, dude, get me out of here.
Wait a minute! I didn't sign up for this.
Right? I'm like going back, looking at the flyer. Like, did the flyer say this? Like, what's going on? I didn't see any rainbows, but you know what? But this is the thing that happened though. None of those guys disrespected me. None of those guys was like, you know, they. I think that they kind of let everybody know, hey, Steve's straight or whatever, and everybody like just talked to me, like asked me about America, told me things about Brazil. Hooked me up with this little hooked me up with a chick, a really pretty chick, by the way. But it wound up being cool or whatever. But I'll say all that say this was that I don't know if I've been in an American environment where I go to an island, a bunch of guys, and they still hook me up with a chick by the end of the night. Straight guys. You know what I'm saying? Right. And what I saw was through my 6 months there, I would see these guys, different men, just in the streets and everything, and they just, because Brazil is so violent, gay men and feminine gay men specifically do not have the luxury of not being masculine because they get robbed. So they have to still have a level of aggression that we don't have in the States. I think like places like Austin, Texas, very soft. I think TJ, where you live at? You out west?
I live Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, so that whole area, I was living in Colorado for a while. Because of the weather and the environment, people have to stay hard. You know what I mean? So you don't see a lot of soft people in that, that part of the country. Same for the South, right?
They're shaped by their environment.
Yeah. In the South, it's hot, man. Like we gotta deal with animals, and then like you gotta tame the land just to be able to walk around in the backyard out here, And so
with the heat, that makes you a crazy motherfucker too.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. So down here in the South, people are still aggressive.
Yeah. Short tempers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been down. Yeah.
And the same thing in Brazil. They don't have air conditioning in Brazil. It's just hot all the time.
No air conditioning anywhere? Or just like maybe like corporate office buildings?
In the mall, you'll have good air conditioning.
Okay.
Apartments, some.
Okay.
Will have air conditioning. They're really well ventilated, so you really don't need it that much.
Fans and things like that?
Yeah. But,
okay.
But I would say that they have a level of aggression that's much different. Everybody there learns how to fight, men and women.
That makes sense.
They're not learning boxing, they're learning jiu-jitsu. They're not learning jiu-jitsu, they're learning capoeira. Because they don't have guns. And so even though they don't have guns, everybody can beat you up. You know what I mean? And so
that makes sense.
And then on top of that, because of how in Brazil they were a military dictatorship until 1985, and so they didn't have the luxury of capitalism. So women had to depend on men. You know what I mean? There is no, welfare system there. There is no like real serious social net, right? And so men had to rock up, man. And I think that we have a lot of things that are good about America. And I think that as long as we have guns in the United States, and as long as people live in rural areas, we're going to have masculine men. I think that if you're living in an urban area, you need to get out at some point and live outside of the urban area. If you live near a mountain or a beach, you need to do that for a period of time, because that's the only thing that's going to make you be who you're supposed to be, in my opinion. Because I think that I don't want to run from the West, right? Because I'm a product of this. And I hear guys like, man, I'm going to move to Brazil. No, don't do that. This ain't where you from. Get you something from there and bring it back home. But
forge yourself on that anvil, but come back. Yep.
Yeah, but you got to come back because this is our country, right? And I think that I think personally we're at the furthest we're going to swing left for a while.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to come back to the center soon.
It's time for reclamation. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because women are tired of weak men.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Come on, man.
I'll tell you what, that's, not to go too far off tangent, but you're not wrong. Ever since I've gotten back into dating, that's what I've been hearing from the women that I've been meeting. They're just like, oh my God, where have you been type of thing. They're like, oh my God, all these guys they're so, and they don't even have the words. And I'm just thinking soy. Is that what they're pussies?
Yeah, pretty much.
You're not wrong. You're so not wrong. And they are sick of it. I'll tell you what, they're starving for it.
Right, man. And the thing is, I think that, I talked about it. I've been getting interviewed like all the time now. So
nice.
Okay, cool.
Watching anything else I've said before, I'm gonna say it again because I know that I'm not part of the demographic y'all always talk to. But y'all need to go back and pay attention to what happened to black people in the late 70s and the 80s, because that's what's happening to white people now. Okay, what does all this mean? It's the destruction of family structures. Okay, the
Yes.
Black family was the strongest family in America until the 70s and 80s.
Dinesh D'Souza talks about that too. Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
so we're the canary in the coal mine, right? So
Mhm.
the opioid crisis and all these other far left things they're doing to America, which and I mean that by white families, they're destroying our families. Okay, and it has a ripple effect through generations. And
Right.
when you make the man addicted, okay, you tell the man he's not worthy of having a family. Okay, he stops raising a family. When you stop raising a family, what happens?
Yeah.
We all, jail, suicide.
Everything falls apart.
So culture falls apart, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
go back and look at what happened 30 years ago in Black American communities. That's what's happening to white America right now. But the thing is, white America is 70% of America. We can't afford that.
It's funny you say it, because I would actually go even further. My own personal family, I've tried to understand a lot of things that are going on or just stuff that would need to be fixed. And it really goes back 100 years with stuff that happened with kind of the patriarch, but where you have 1 week, it kind of goes back to that thing. You have 1 weak link, or not weak link, but you just have one bad experience, and they carry that experience on with them.
Yeah.
And it affects their son. And if their son doesn't correct it, they repeat it on with the next child.
Yeah.
And so there are so many things.
It's a cascading effect. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many things I did not understand. Like, why are things the way they are? And then you find out, oh, your great-great-grandfather, was sold at age 9 to go work on a farm and never saw his parents again. Like, oh, that suddenly makes sense. Like, you understand how, or, like one of them had a traumatic life experience when they were a kid, and that affects everything that suddenly you see in your own family. So that's where it gets really crazy about how people really like to portray themselves as these islands. They're master of their fate. They're totally in control. No, you are a product of the environment you were raised in, and the environment that you were raised in is a product of what came before you, and you have a connection to that. And pretending like that doesn't have any impact on you is just it's very arrogant of a lot of people to think that that's not the case.
I agree.
That's true. Yeah.
It's another point. Let's look back 40 years. Let's take out drugs and race, right? Radical feminism put their foot on man's neck, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And you were raised in that, right? Me and TJ are part of that.
Yeah.
They put their foot on man's neck, on the collective neck of men in the 70s.
And it's a small portion of the population.
You should hear the stories. I've talked to a lot of, I've been blessed in my life. I got a chance to talk to a lot of World War II vets and people who grew up in that time period. And the stories the men tell me about the norms between men and women just absolutely would blow the mind of anybody today. I have some I actually recorded on video, but that you could just, like, a man could openly, just without any fear whatsoever, the worst thing would happen is a girl would just say she's not interested in you, right? She would just say no, but she would do so in a respectful way. But he could, like, the one of the guys was like basically collecting girls and then telling one girl, hey, can you tell her I'm not going to be able to hang out this one night or whatever? And she would go tell her that. Like, it was just considered acceptable at that time period that a guy would be dating multiple girls at the same time. I'm hearing them this, like, what why did we move from this system? Like, where did we stray on that? Like, when did we get together and decide that was a bad system? And it's like, oh yeah, we didn't. It was a bunch of ugly women who said, I'm not getting anything.
There were small little moves over time. Yeah, they call it communist creep.
I have a question for Stephen, just based on where he was talking about being the canary in the coal mine. Look at what happened to black families and where it's at, and white families are going that same direction. What are your thoughts based on that type of thing? If that's, I guess, the direction white families, white people are going. You also saw back then the rise of the street gangs.
Correct.
do you see something similar to that happening with white people?
It's
And I'm
here
not talking white supremacy bullshit here,
it's here now.
but
know?
just, white gangs, kind of like
Well-
like the Crips and the Bloods type of
Yeah,
thing.
well, you gotta. I'm not going to a history lesson.
Yeah.
On that
Bring it
one.
on, man.
Sure.
But okay, so because white people have more money, they're insulated from some of these things. But that's some white people. We all know all white people aren't rich, right?
Right.
So the Crips and Bloods and all those other guys, they all started as offshoots from Black Panthers to protect Black neighborhoods. Now, when you start introducing drugs and everything, the guys start getting violent, and we have what we have now. With that being said, I think that when you start having a lot of these white boys, I mean by boys, I mean like children without fathers, you're gonna see an uptick in a lot of crazy stuff that you haven't seen from white communities in places like Massachusetts and Vermont and North Dakota. I'm talking about 90% white states that had to deal with the opioid crisis.
Like Kentucky.
Some serious situations happening over the next 5 to 10 years. There is enough white people that the whole structure is not going to fall down, but it's going to be a lot of different type of experiences for white children coming up. But the problem is, when this happened to Black people, there were no immigrants here. There were no, it wasn't 15% Hispanic in the United States in 1985 or 86, right? So what's going to happen is that because society insulates, for lack of better words, good white people, right? But white people who are contributing to society, they don't insulate poor white people. So you're going to see white people fall that are in that danger zone. They're going to fall even further than Black people and Hispanic people did. That's what I think personally. Now they're trying to do something that, Trump and everybody are trying to do something to the opioid crisis to make it stop, but you can't stop a dead parent. Okay, that parent's gone. Somebody's got to raise that child. Okay, and so I think you're gonna see not just white gangs. You're gonna see all the bad things that happen to us. You're gonna see the same thing happen, but it's gonna be overlooked because we have a large minority presence in the United States now that we did not have years ago. Now, again, I'm not talking against my race. I'm just letting you know what I saw.
Right.
And I'm not talking against the white race. I just want everybody to understand that how do you stop what we had happen to us?
Right.
You're going to see white boys decline scholastically, academically.
We're already seeing that.
Right.
I'm actually, I don't think that they're going to, for the most part, I don't think they're going to join gangs. My fear personally, because I stand to lose on this, is that they're going to go do shootings. Like they're going to go to school, high school, or they're going to go to some church or something like that. And then they're going to be so screwed up in the head, and people's immediate reaction is going to be, well, we got, what gun did they use? As opposed to this was a kid, the product of a broken home. And like Stephen was saying, you don't replace a father and a husband in a home with anything. The moment you decide that a father and a husband is replaceable in a home, you've committed cultural suicide, in my opinion.
Right.
And we've done that with everyone. It's just as one of the things I'm looking at in my own community and elsewhere around me is the symptoms that you see of that stuff comes years later. So we're probably going to, like you were saying, I think that we're probably going to see some of that stuff, but I think that that's what they're going to do because that's a lot easier to do because it doesn't require any organizing. Because it's really hard to organize a gang. As funny as it is to say, organizing a gang takes work and it requires collaboration and cooperation. And a lot of these kids are going to be so dysfunctional and hyper individualistic that
there needs to be consolidated leadership. Yeah,
they're not willing to listen. From what
you're going to have packs of lone wolves, basically.
You're going to have a ton of. That is my. I hope to God it doesn't happen because every time one of these idiots does that stuff, my gun rights get threatened. The bomb stock ban occurred, and it's like God knows what else. And then my state is a reactionary to all this.
Well, now it's now it's this. What's this bullshit with parents being able to sue Remington.
Man, come on, man.
And so I'm just thinking, you know, I've done what I need to do with my Second Amendment rights. So I was watching and following this stuff. So I was like, okay, if you want to get involved in that stuff, the time to do it is now. Get your stuff now, because you will not have an opportunity in the future, possibly. But that's kind of where I'm seeing things, and it's sad, because you know that the people who have the power to change things are going to do nothing at best. At worst, they're going to blame people who had nothing to do with it, because that's the easiest scapegoat. No one's going to make the hard decision and say, yeah, maybe we should stop treating husbands and fathers like they're replaceable with a government check or with government funding or with some economic opportunity zone.
So TJ, this is the problem. They already did it one time. They already made, so because we're such a small part, we're like 10, 13% of the population, something like that. They've already tested out not needing husbands and fathers.
Right.
You know, we're 2 or 3 generations into not having fathers in the home at large, you know, in mass, right? Whatever reasons. But they're going to do that. Look what they're doing to y'all now. Look what they're doing. Look at the media, okay?
I mean, I'm seeing this stuff, and I'm turning around to people saying, "Are you not following this?" And they all think it doesn't. You know what? Honestly, you know what the message I get is that can't happen to us. That can't happen to us. We're special. You know, it's never, that can't happen here. And I'm thinking,
no, it will. It
no,
will.
it's not. How many historical tragedies do we have to go through where you understand anything can happen to anybody the moment they say it can't happen to them?
It's
right? We can't ever lose this war, and then they lose this war. Or we're not going to lose this battle against these rabble, and then they lose the battle. Or, you know, whatever it is. Yeah, it's. I completely agree, and that's where I try to control my cynical side. Like I've commonly said, I'm more cynical than Mr. 5'9" Clairmeister.
4-hour napper.
That's right, and masturbator. Chronic masturbator.
No, I'm looking at the same, and everything Steven was just saying, I completely agree with. I'm like thinking, guys, like it's happening, and what are we doing about it? And everyone's like, oh, what are you talking about, TJ? I'm like,
what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah, TJ, why don't you get back on? Why don't you just stop thinking about this stuff? And it's like, oh my god.
Real quick, let's drop something real quick. It's 10:24. Rob, you're long overdue. You want to take it away real fast?
Yeah, you bet. It's our PSA time. Guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. In fact, let me take a quick looky here. Yeah, there's like 20, 22 guys in here, 17 likes. Come on, guys, hit the like button. Share this with someone you think that would benefit from it, and hit the notification bell so you know when we're on next.
Exactly. And check out the website.
And that too.
Steven, go ahead.
Sign up.
I saw Nick had said the question is if we actually are going to stop it. And I feel you. I understand, man. I think that what I've seen so far, maybe because I'm in an echo chamber a little bit, but I think I started thinking this way like 3 or 4 years ago. And I was talking to my friend Jacob Phillips. He's a voice actor. Great guy. I love him to death. And I told him that Christianity had gotten soft and the church had gotten soft. What does that mean to our conversation, right? Well, if the church got soft, and the church used to be where all the tough guys were, or very stern men were, and if these are where all the soft guys are now, that means our whole society is this way.
Yes.
Right? And men, as we know, don't have to, lecture the audience on this. We all know men want to be rough and tumble. We want to be tough. We want to be strong to a level, right? And so water must find its level. So we're seeing things like this come up. I don't remember 10 years. Now, again, I'm an adult now at 31, but 10 years ago, I don't remember anything about masculinity being on social media.
Right.
Anywhere. I don't remember any blogs. I don't remember any of that. And I think so now I think that what we're doing organically as men, we're like, hey, look, this ain't working. Whatever we're doing as a society ain't working. I'm going to find some guys we're going to do this a different way. And what I've seen is that a lot of men, especially in America, we are coming back to who we are supposed to be and who we're trying, and who we would like to be in the future. I had, this was 3 years ago, I spent a summer with a bunch of Rastafarians in Atlanta. And these dudes were like super masculine, super duper masculine guys, and we talked about these things every day, all the time, just they were teaching me different things, not like from Rasta, that their religion, but just their ideology behind what it means to be a man. And I think that's happening more than society is telling itself it is, because a lot of men are like, hey, look, I got divorced. Screw this. I'm not going out like this. I still got 30, 40 years left of life. I'm not going to be a weak man. I tried it one way. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do that again. And I don't remember seeing that 20 years ago or even hearing about it. Obviously I was a kid, but I don't remember any guys from 20 years ago divorcing and then being like, becoming like a cool guy afterwards. You know what I mean? And Rob, you got something to say about that?
Yeah. DJ, you're up.
As far as,
do you have any, is there any validation in what I'm saying? Is there any?
I think back in the early days of the American church, you had guys giving sermons like sinners in the hands of an angry God, and people were showing up to that.
Yeah.
You had I don't know if this is an American feature, but the fire and brimstone preacher and preachers were kind of the alpha male guys who were, the moral judgments. I don't know what to tell people about the state of the church today, other than nothing that
just read Robert E. Howard's Solomon Keynes books. You'll get what you're talking about.
You know what I'll say for people who want to get an idea is I just accept it for what it is. Watch the film Cromwell. This is about Oliver Cromwell. This is about what the church was like, church men were like back in the 1600s. Historically an accurate film in a lot of ways, but it conveys in the core essence the idea that these guys were assertive, dominant, and there's one scene in the film where Cromwell's, they're fighting the English Civil War, and he says, we need men with fire in their bellies to win this war. And I think that really spoke to me when I was watching it, thinking that is the problem with men today in the West. They have no fire in their gut. They don't have fire in their eyes. They have no passion. They've had that light in their eyes dimmed, if not extinguished, where they now exist not for their own, what inspires them and drives them. I was also watching Braveheart, and I was like, it's impossible not to get psyched up watching Braveheart. But it's the same thing where Robert the Bruce is talking about William Austin. It's like he fights with passion and he inspires and all that stuff. It has to be something like that. And I think that if you want the cynic in me, you got to get rid of all the institution as exists today. Like most of it is not redeemable. Just you got to get rid of it all and start over. Because if we wait until they're all dead, we're not going to be very young. We're going to be in our 50s or 60s at best. Yeah. And I ain't waiting that long for those kind of people. Like that's why I think that I'm hoping that the pendulum turns so that just the sheer force of society forces this stuff to change, because I'm looking at the situation. There's so much, not inertia, but what is it called, where stuff just won't change. It's stuck where it is. So what?
We're in a different paradigm right now. A paradigm change, or what are you talking about?
They're almost like it's a fixed fortification where they don't have to move. You got to drive them out. And because everything favors them, being passive and not changing and just killing everything. With all these traditional masculine institutions, they either have to be driven out, which takes forever unless there's enough moral momentum. Like the society has to change where them behaving the way they do is considered verboten or wrong. But
TJ, I think two things will change this really quickly. I'm talking like in like 12 minutes. A serious recession.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and we back in it. You know
I totally agree. The moment there's an economic recession, and I'm talking where people are financially desperate, and that's where it can get really interesting in our society, because I half jokingly say this is how you get a theocracy, but the people, ironically enough, who are the most against it are laying the groundwork for it.
Oh yeah,
they are. Now, if people, I'm not saying I like it. You don't have to like it. Nobody else has to like it, but that's the groundwork because of just the way they're conditioning people to think. And so if you want to avoid that, we got to stop moving in the direction we're moving, because frankly, reactionary movements are always end up getting a backfire with everything. You had like Franco was the fascist leader of Spain. Spain didn't stay fascist after he left. Chile was run by Pinochet. It didn't stay much into Pinochet when he left. The Third Reich, we all know how that worked out for 9 years, stuff like that. So reactionary movements, and I think that's the lesson for men like us. Reactionary movements are often necessary, but they can never be permanent because they swing the pendulum all the way back the opposite direction. And then it swings back there, and then you got the vicious cycle. So it's almost like you were saying, it's got to stay in the middle where it's not creating enough momentum to go either way.
TJ, I got a question for you, for all y'all. What was the reactionary movement after radical feminism? Like, how did men respond?
That's a good question.
I'm writing the book, the Masculine Geek Handbook, where I'm talking about this, and men responded in a very interesting way. They responded by renouncing anything that was, how can I put it? They removed all ambiguity, all the nuance. It had to be.
It was very binary.
Yes, very binary. The example I use in the book is Tim the Toolman Taylor from Home Improvement, where he's this, I'm big into tools, I grunt like an ape, I hate arts and anything artistic like my wife does.
They went the opposite way.
Because that is the only way in that society to convey masculinity in an age when genuine masculinity wasn't really understood. And I think that, this is my theory, I think that the Great Depression and the World War II generation, when they came back from the war, their experience, the way that they processed that, I'm not saying that I would have done anything better or different, but it left the baby boomers with a really weird concept of what it means to be a man. Because I think that they, you went in the Pacific and you saw horrible stuff and you did horrible stuff, and now you come home to Mayberry, America, suburbia, with a wife who's never seen anything in her life, and you got 3 kids. You just suppress that stuff. So they associated masculinity with suppressing and not expressing yourself emotionally. And then feminism comes along, and feminism says, oh, you need to act more like a woman. Well, the only binary was being the sobby, Sal, or being stoic, Sam. That was it.
Yeah. But you're dealing with people who had serious PTSD, guys. Like these guys, like, I didn't have anybody in my family that I knew that was in the World War II or anything like that. But you're dealing with a whole generation that were probably addicted to something, and they were doing PTSD, and they couldn't talk to anybody about it because
when they did talk about it, people said, "Oh, that didn't happen." The book Unforgiven was about Japanese U.S. guys who were put in those Japanese camps, and they saw just heinous stuff, and they got beaten, and the worse stuff than atrocious war crimes. And the author was talking about how some of them came back home, and they were finally had the courage to open up to their parents or their family, and their family accused them of lying. Like, how do you process that without putting a gun to your head? I don't know. But if their worst thing they did is become an alcoholic, I can't judge them, but I'm saying what my observation is that was the concept of masculinity that was passed on to the baby boomers when feminism came in.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them were like, oh yeah, we should be more like the women. And then there were the reactionary group who said, we're not going to be anything like the women. We're going to look to our dads, the World War II guys, and we're going to be stoic Sam, and we're not going to show any emotion. We're not going to show any affection for anyone because that's what a man is. And they didn't know that before that, there was a sense of masculinity where you could be affectionate, possibly, and also be stoic at the same time, where you're not weak.
You know, here's the other part I was just thinking about. And it's so simple, but like literally, the world wars and the Great Depression changed everybody's culture.
Yeah,
all men everywhere stoic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, imagine Germans are known for being stoic now. Why? We all know why.
Yeah,
they probably had personalities 100 years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't. You know what I'm saying? But it was a reason for that, right? And so, like, we are prisoners of our own moment, right? And so
that's for sure.
That's like the crazy thing is like, man, what would I be like if I was this way, or if I lived in another country or whatever? And it's like, man, like, how do we reclaim what we're supposed to be like as men?
Well, that's the importance of history, of looking up prior history and saying, what were things like before our time period? And that's where I've really, I'm glad I looked it up, but when you do, it's almost like taking the red pill, where once you go in, there's no going back, and you realize how things used to be, and you realize how unlike that the world is. But most importantly, no one else knows that. They don't know that there was things were different. They think that the things the way are now is the way it's always been. And it's actually completely not the way things have been ever. This is completely revolutionary, but they've succeeded in getting everyone to forget the past.
For now, but as we know, war and economic crisis transcend history, right? It's always going to be there.
Right.
And I think that who we are will show in the difficult times, because Rob, Vincent, y'all live long enough to deal with a few difficult times, and me and TJ have been through an adult situation of going to Afghanistan, or a possibility of having to go to Iraq or Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I didn't, but some people I know did, right? And so the economic crisis we had back in 07, 08, 09, but we got a few more of those stages in our life. If you're going to live to be 70, 80, 90, we're going to see that. With that being said, I think that I don't like to be skeptical either, TJ, but I'm just like, man, if we get like a World War III, guys going to really have to get some gut checks out here, you know. Yeah. But at the expense of a lot of lives lost, you're going to see the world change in a way. But
I mean, for all we know, feminism I've always said that feminism is a form of LARPing, real life, like that we've extended to a level of absurdity where the feminism doesn't exist in a natural disaster environment. The moment a natural disaster occurs, like everybody just realizes, I don't care if everyone's showing up to rescue people are all men. They don't care. It's only in an environment where there's total comfort and total guarantee of safety and security that they suddenly start playing this whole equitable gender equality thing. So if there's a war or starvation, pestilence, famine, economic depression, all that stuff immediately goes out the door. And I don't enjoy, I don't think about that, like fantasize about that kind of stuff. But I always say the only way for things to get better is for things to get worse.
Much worse.
It's for us to stop, like we got to stop being allowed to, as a society and culture, delude ourselves into thinking that this is the way that things should be. But
TJ, there's another point I want to talk about, guys. American exceptionalism fuels a lot of this as well. So we are products of American exceptionalism, which is I'm special. Okay, it's only one of me. All right. And the problem is we all, men and women, we both accept that, right? So instead of standing up and confronting this woman, all right, this woman that you have a problem with, you just say, well, I'm special. Screw this, I quit. You go to the next person. You don't confront that problem that you have, right? And so you have a lot of men that are not standing up and being the man they need to be. It's how all of our conversation is. Because of social media, I was gonna get another girl, and I won't stand up to the woman I'm dealing with right now. I won't have to stand up. I won't stand up. I won't stand up. And next thing you know, you've been folding for 15 years because you thought you were improving or getting a better partner when you should have stood up as a man when you had the chance to. And so I think that I don't want anything bad to happen, right? I don't want anything bad to happen to us as a country or the world. But I think that when I was, somebody's talking about Brazil, the only feminists in Brazil are the wealthy. Correct. Because, here's an example, guys. I was dating a chick in Canada. And I would see her like 3 or 4 times. I'd be at her house or whatever. She's like, hey, Steven, you can come stay with me, but you would have to pay. You had to pay to stay at my house. She had her own house. And I was like, I don't need to live with you. I'm just seeing you every few nights, while I'm here, whatever. She had like a $300,000 house, whatever. She was a senior accountant. Now, my girlfriend in Brazil, she lives with her grandmother in a regular, simple neighborhood. She was like, hey, when you come back from the United States, you can stay at my grandma's house if you want to. She is considered poor comparatively speaking to this girl in Canada. But she's like, hey, you can come stay for free with me. Because they know in Brazil, you got to have a man around. That's protection.
Right.
In Canada, everything's so safe. Women just go live by themselves. It doesn't matter.
Or they go travel to Pakistan.
And get their head cut off. Y'all remember that story? Yeah. The girl goes to, if y'all haven't known this, the lady goes to Pakistan to protest how women were being treated, right? Cross the border and gets her head chopped off, literally. And that's the end of that. And that's the real world. America, UK, France, Canada, that's not the real world. Okay? No. We're like 500 million people out of 7 billion. And we're not having a real lived experience, And I'm not saying you got to travel to do that because you don't. You just need to understand that. I think for any of the guys that's listening, guys, confrontation is good. Okay? You don't got to put your hands on nobody, but you need to get your point across about how you feel about things. And that's going to be the start to you embracing who you really are as a man. You're not meant to receive. Okay?
Yeah, you got to stand up.
A lot of crap. You got to stand up, man.
Right.
And say what it is you feel or how you feel, because and it goes back to the other point today. We're talking about how these kids are being raised and not have opinions. So the man has this whole like to that Tim the Toolman Taylor aspect, right? Like, well, I don't care, whatever you want to do. I'm a man. I'm gonna just go watch football. And so we delegate leadership, and we lead by abdication. So we're leading by not being there. We say, hey, just do what you want to do. And now we see, all right, well, women are like, I'm gonna do what I want to do because you're not leading, And so I think for men, before a war happens, before economic problems happen, we need to step up.
Yeah,
it's enough. Okay, you're not gonna keep raising our boys, getting their fingernails painted and putting dresses on. You're not doing that anymore. Somebody got to step up and say, hey, it's enough. And I think we're getting to that point now. Now I think now is just too much. I think we're gonna see.
I go back to Newton's third law, or whatever law it is. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And when I look at what they're doing now with the whole drag show queen stuff in libraries and they're sexualizing young children, I'm just like, what do you guys think? I'm just thinking aloud to myself. What do they think the reaction to that is? It's going to be where we're going to have a society that's so controlled and restricted in a lot of ways that it's almost as though if you don't like that kind of society, why are you setting up the moral justification for that society? Because let's say 10 years from now, we have a society where women get stoned and by stoned, I don't mean drugged. I mean, they literally get stoned to death if they don't wear a headscarf when they walk outside their house. And the people who are enforcing that law say, well, look what happens when you don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, or where they have all these laws about just restricting human behavior, and they point at, all they have to do is show a photo of a drag queen or whatever it is at a library and say, this is what happens when you don't have this. It's rhetorically, it's impossible to argue with that because it's not theoretical. See, the slippery slope argument made from fundamentalist preachers back in the 1800s, that was all theoretical. Now we're not only at that point, we're past that point. We're like 60 miles beyond what they were warning about. So people in the future will be able to say, this is what happened, not what might happen. It's not even a slippery slope anymore. It's more of a, we're going to go back to this if you don't enforce this. And that's always the hardest argument to make some sort of reforms. And this is why I feel like if the pendulum doesn't swing appropriately, it's going to end up swinging back the wrong way at some point, because then people will say, well, they'll start nostalgizing that period. Whereas saying, maybe we should go back to a period where, maybe we don't have this, but maybe that is too far. We should have it be moderate. But it seems like with humans, it's never moderation. It's always one extreme or the other.
Hey, TJ, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, the 20s were pretty wild.
Yeah,
they were.
They were.
It was true. Yeah.
Then we went through Depression, World War, and then after that, it was the 70s, or the 60s and 70s. They got crazy.
Yep.
With crazy drugs and all that. Got a little more conservative. I think we're going through our 60s and 70s right now.
I hope so.
like, whoa, man, you're going real wild right now, because radical feminism was crazy compared to what the norm was at the time. Right now, what they're doing with genders and sexuality is insane, given our cultural norms right now. I think that there will be a pushback, just like it was in every other part of American history, because it's too large of a majority of people who live normal lives.
Right.
You're not going to make me do all those things. And I think that what we saw happen with the election when Trump gets elected, that was like, hey, y'all not going to we're not going to do all these things y'all saying that y'all want us to do. I think we voted politically that way. I think that in the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to see a social pushback. And I don't mean like hate crimes, but I mean, it's not going to be all that. So I'm like, hold up. I'm not going to keep walking on eggshells. You get to call me every name in the book and I can't say anything. Hold on. This ain't Twitter. I can't get deplatformed in real life,
Right.
And so I think you're going to see a lot of pushback with that. I think you're going to see a lot of social segregation around these type of things. Because y'all remember correctly, let's go back and look at any time we had these type of things happen. Everybody's kind of pulled back from those type of people. It went from like, all right, you don't want to wear a bra, you want to burn your bra, okay, cool, whatever. But then they all got pushed away, from normal society. I think it's going to happen again, because time and time again, the American public has not failed us. Okay, we have gone back to having some sense of normalcy. We might have had some new norms. I don't think anybody needs to be mistreated for any of their beliefs or anything like that, unless they're pedophiles. But that's neither here nor there. You know what I mean? But everything else, I think the American public always goes back to who we really are, to some extent, which is a Puritan Protestant type of type of culture that we have. And then you gotta look at Brazil. Okay, Brazil is super duper liberal with a bunch of stuff, and they put a super right wing guy as the president because they were sick of it.
Yeah.
Right? I think we're gonna have a lot of that too. Around the West, I don't think it's gonna be one Trump or Bolsonaro. My guy, what's my guy in Poland? You know what I'm talking about, TJ?
I don't know the guy in Poland. I know the guy in Hungary.
Rob, you know the guy I'm talking about? He was like, so the guy in Poland, anybody in the live comments, y'all might want to be able to tell me his name. The guy was like, ain't no Muslims coming up in here. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing about it. Germany, if y'all want some Muslims, y'all get some Muslims. We're not having it.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Think of his name.
I forget his name, but he speaks good English. But I still need to say this. We're gonna see this happen for another couple terms in the Western world before things kind of normalize, you know. I'm sorry I'm not following you. Make sure and I'll follow you back, okay?
It's very sad. It's very sad. How dare you?
Hey, getting back, there's Nick Schuliner brought up a question. Where the hell is it? I gotta go back a little ways because I know he asked it a couple of times. I mean, he said, "Is America so sick that we can no longer ingest the only type of medicine that could have cured us?" What do you guys think?
Like I said, I'm probably the most cynical person in the room, and I really like, and it appeals to me to have when Stephen talks about the American public going back to like remembering what it is, or at least what they are, for better or for worse. I'm trying to hold on to my hope that at some point they'll wake up and say and remember who they are. It kind of reminds me of that line from the movie, whatever you want to think of Michael Bay films, Pearl Harbor, where FDR is saying, you know, like, we need to remember who we are and that we will not give up or give in. And I hope that that's what happens at some point, where they're not concerned about political parties. They're concerned about just, this is who we are, and we just don't care about what anybody has to say about it. And we don't care about who wins an election. We're going to stand by what we are, for better or for worse. And it occurs in such a mass that people don't stand up. Like they know it's over. That whatever the direction we're going in the country is over. We're turning around, and so there's always that hope. It's kind of like what Gandalf says in The Return of the King. There never was much hope, just a fool's hope. But maybe that's what we still need.
Yeah, I think that I've had these conversations in McDonald's. Okay, just like anywhere I am, as long as I'm still able to talk to people, like I think in all of us, as long as we're able to talk to people like this, I think America still has a chance. I was in San Jose earlier this year, and I didn't want to say any of my political beliefs, like none. I was like scared, you know, like I was like, all right,
that's stressful and debilitating.
Yeah, you know, 'cause like, again, you know, I'm from the South, so obviously everybody's in the South. Everybody in the South is a conservative. I don't care if you think you're a Democrat, you are a conservative to an extent because of culture here. So being in the South, like, you know, we all can kind of say the same things. It's like, oh, okay, I understand. Okay, I might have a little different opinion on that, but like being in some of these other places in the country, it's like being in a different country. Self-censor in a way, because it's like I was in some situations in California. I was like, dude, okay, like I don't want to say anything because y'all are gonna spaz out because y'all
you'll lose your minds.
Yeah. They really think it's okay to mistreat people, and I don't think that's okay. And I think that for whatever reason, the left, these liberal people, they just got so aggressive, man. Why they get so aggressive, man? I don't like. They don't like guns.
You should come to Seattle. The Seattle area is the same thing. What's driving that? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like I had a lot of political discussions because people ask me about Trump in Canada and Brazil, and so you got to kind of talk about it, whatever, and you overhear things. But it's just like I don't understand how people who have been so docile for so many years are now so angry. Y'all remember the Tea Party? The Tea Party and the people, they don't have a name now, but the resistance, I'm sorry, they're the same people. The Tea Party people were insane during Barack Obama's term. The resistance people are insane. They're like violent people. You know what I mean? They use violent language. I'm like, why do we
you get like what happens is, and I've noticed this. It has nothing to do with politics, but just personality and psychology. They're docile, they're passive, they're indecisive until you touch something that they care about or have been programmed to care about, and then they are the most decisive, assertive, in your face, aggressive people you'll ever meet. And you're thinking,
until they meet an equal or greater aggression, though.
Right. And they're thinking, where the heck did I, like, you're thinking, you're completely blindsided because you're thinking, this was a guy who couldn't answer a simple yes or no question 5 minutes ago. And now he's like, no, this is wrong. And, you know, like in your face, like it's about to get violent if you don't back down kind of thing. You're like, where did that come? And then you realize it's like, it's the same thing as Pavlov's mouse or whatever.
Dog.
Yeah, dog. Sorry, not mouse.
Yeah.
Mouse.
Well, he used, there were rats involved, but mainly dog.
Yeah, they rang the bell, and he's got it. The guy goes crazy. So it's almost like they've been conditioned to be
operant conditioning.
It's almost like, you know what it is? It's almost like they're sleeper agents. They've been
communist sleeper agents.
They've been trained to be docile and passive until their number's been called. Like a certain rhetorical word triggers them, and then they turn into attack mode.
But the thing is, and maybe this is just me being delusional or whatever, maybe it's me seeing what I see in my own world. You're absolutely correct, TJ. They get aggressive and all that, but to me, a lot of it is mostly posturing. That if you get someone that actually stands right back up to them and is like, no.
Well, they crumble like your old bread.
Yeah, exactly. That, you know, it's one thing when you've got no resistance and you can be the bully, so to speak. And, you know, you throw a rock or something and everybody scatters. It's another when you throw a rock and I pick up my gun and go, try it again, motherfucker.
And I think
that someone gets shot,
and but the thing
then all of a sudden that resistance, that tough guy shit goes right out the window because, oh my God, they're fighting back.
Well, and I think fake. The thing is they operate when they know they're on they
know when it's safe.
Well, right. But like, for example, if you're in Portland, this is why I tell people, if you don't live in a urban city like Seattle or Portland, Antifa is not a problem because they're not, first of all, they don't have cars, so they don't have jobs, and they can't bum a ride off their mommy. But they're not going to drive out to your rural area. First of all, the cops will probably shoot them just for fun.
Same in Utah.
And so they operate within the premise of when they know that the environment's going to back up them, if it escalates to violence and they commit violence, kind of like what happens with Antifa, they know that they can commit violence in Portland and Seattle and nothing's going to happen. They're not going to come over to my neck of the woods and do stupid stuff because not only, well, I won't go into details, but let's just say they will not have a warm reception by anyone of any political stripe, of any creed, whatever you want to call it. There's just nobody likes someone from another part of the state or country coming over to tell anybody how things would go. Nick's asking if Pullman is rural. Yeah, Antifa are not going over to Pullman. They're going to, first of all, that's way too far of a drive for them. And secondly, you can't be home the same day in time for mommy's meatloaf.
You know, I think, TJ, to your point, they're relying on other sensibility.
Right.
And so because they rely on other sensibility to protect them, this is the left, really, right? Because they know everybody else is sensible, they'll talk crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if they didn't know they were sensible, then they go, hold on, I don't know. This guy might try something. It was Rob, I told you this story before. Everybody watching, y'all haven't heard this story. I was in Brazil, and this Canadian woman lectures me on why black people should vote liberal. Black American.
Did she have to see the manager?
Did she have that special haircut?
All right, man. Look, man. Her husband was a Brazilian guy, super cool guy. She had a few sons. Everything was cool. And I'm minding my business, man. I swear to God, I didn't bring up politics or anything. And she was like, and that's why something about voting liberal, black people need to vote liberal. It's like, yeah, that's why y'all should vote liberal. I said, what? What do you mean? Like, hold on. I said, you're not even American. Okay. Like, what are you talking about right now? I'm not understanding. And so, like, she is yelling at me, guys. We're in public. I'm being yelled at in English.
Jeez.
Nobody else understands her because everybody else speaks Portuguese. And like, I'm using my sensibilities, right? Because I'm not going to yell at a woman. And she's just giving me an earful about why I should vote and why I should vote liberal always and vote blue. I'm like, you're not. How could you even have the audacity to tell an American how to vote?
Yeah, that's what amazes me is where these, what do they call them? There's a term for them, but the can I speak to the manager type women?
Oh, Karen?
Yeah, Karens. The Karens of the world that think that they get to tell, first of all, not only tell other people what to do, but tell men that what to do, and men they don't even know what to do. Where they're saying, "Oh, you need to do this and this," and like, who are you? Who died and made you the Pope, and you ain't, like you just walk out of nowhere and think, "Oh, my opinion suddenly matters." Like the only opinion of yours that matters. Whatever it is, I don't care about. It's not your opinion. The only
that's easy because they married a huge pussy. Okay,
yeah.
and then they take that how I act at home out into the real world.
I hear horror stories. The reason I get riled up about this is because I hear horror stories from young men who tell me about how they shacked up with the girl, which you shouldn't do, because what ends up happening is then she thinks she owns you, and then she starts saying, "Oh, well, you can't go here, and I didn't give you permission to go here," and they're telling me that. I'm like, they told you they didn't give you permission to do what?
Yeah.
Like, or give you permission at all?
It's like, wait a minute, did I just hear you correctly?
It's just like,
get the fuck out
son,
of here.
We need to have a chat. And then you take them off to the side and be like,
this is not how it works.
I don't care if you got to sleep on my couch. Just get out. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We are done. 30 seconds flat. Gone. But then they go up to a complete stranger and starts telling them about how
that will never happen. And we love TJ for it.
Oh, what will never happen?
Hey, this in the keep it brief.
Oh. Yeah, no. Well, the book I'm working on is pretty brief, but anyways, no. It's just the arrogance of people. I would never tell anybody how to vote either. When I was in France and they were talking about their politics there, it's like, it's not my country. They're not my people. I don't get to tell French people how to vote. I don't care if they voted for whatever her name is, that one kind of nationalist chick, or the guy they currently elected who married the much older girl, his like grandmother or whatever.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. I was like, it's none of my business. Or the yellow vest people, they were going off about that, and I'm like, okay, it's not my country, not my problem. We liberated you 75 years ago. We're not doing it a third time.
You're on your own now.
Yeah, you're
on your own now.
You're on the third time, dude.
Shit. Oh God! All right, gentlemen, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. I'm sure we could go for hours, but we'll save that for another time. We definitely want to have Stephen back on again, yes. And we're not going to wait for 4 months.
Right. Real quick, since Stephen brought it up on Twitter a day or two ago, that you're going to learn, what was it, 3 languages in 1 year?
Yeah, I'm gonna learn 3. I'm
gonna hold you accountable to that.
Yeah. We're going to kick you in the ass. We're going to try to learn 1 because we're going to Italy in May, so we need to learn Italian.
At least some.
Yep. It's easy, man. Like, now, obviously, I learned through immersion, but if you can learn a romantic language, the other 3 are, the other 2, Spanish and French, or the Spanish, French, and Portuguese, right? And Italian. I'm sorry, Italian.
Mm-hmm.
Learn 1, you got half of the other 3 already.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And because, like, I speak Portuguese now, but I can read Spanish. So Spanish,
Yeah, same.
It's nothing, you know.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, hey guys, I really appreciate y'all. TJ, man, Vincent, man, I appreciate y'all, man, letting me be on the show again. I always like talking to y'all.
Absolutely, it's always a fun time.
Oh yeah.
I really meant to research some super geeky stuff so I could talk to y'all about
next time.
Y'all reference stuff I have no idea.
It's inspiration, right? Yeah, take a little time to get organized.
Oh, this place looking like a nightclub. That's right.
Right, you know, so it's
take the underwear off your head. Enough is enough.
Y'all guys, man. And Rob, I gotta find a hat that'll cover my eyebrows.
I do have them. They are here.
I was gonna find a hat and wear one below my eyebrows. I couldn't find it.
You should. That'd be fantastic. Next time.
Oh,
yeah, then it can be Rob's hat friend.
There you go. Rob's lowbrow friend.
Yeah.
Oh,
is there, Stephen? Is there anything you would tell people in the chat as advice for just life in general?
I would say this, man. Like, it's never too late to challenge yourself. You know, it's never too late. Like, that it could be as simple as learning a new instrument, or learning a language, or learning a new skill for a job. Like, you can continually reinvent yourself. You don't have to wait for something bad to happen in your life. You know, all it takes is like, all right, I'm gonna try this today, and you try it again the next day. And you try it again the next day, and then that becomes a part of who you are. You know, that's what I'll say to anybody.
Okay, fair enough. And where can everyone find you?
Steven Storey on Twitter. I really don't want to like keep up content in like 5 different places. I
know, right? Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
My name is Storey. Yeah, that's my Twitter handle. Y'all go there. That's where you'll be able to see me. I have a YouTube, but it's actually all in Portuguese. I only speak in Portuguese on my YouTube channel now. So
that's good for people learning too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just where I go to put my accountability videos at.
Okay.
And as I get better, I'll just start talking about things in Portuguese, but it's not for what I use Twitter for. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just for me talking Portuguese. You know.
All right. Cool. I like it. Rob, very briefly, where can they find you?
robsays.net.
There you go. TJ?
TJMartinell.com.
masculinegeek.com, and look for the Masculine Geek Handbook coming out probably the first of the year. TJ, Rob, and I are in process of working on that. So that's something for you guys to get excited for. All right, everyone. We've had a fantastic talk once again with special guest Stephen Storey returning. We'll have him on again before the 4-month mark, because this is always fantastic. So everyone, until next time. Oh, if you're not a Masculine Geek Patreon, let me put this up here. You're going to miss the Saturday morning cartoon hour with Masculine Geek and Aaron Clary this Saturday. So get your asses over there and sign up. All right, everyone. And if you don't do that, you're going to have to wait till next Wednesday. Check out our special events section on our website. We have some good stuff coming up. And until next Wednesday, keep the fires burning. Keep moving forward. Later.